welcome to our Pokemon of the episode. Our Pokemon this week is National Dex number 701, Hawlucha, the wrestling Pokemon.
Its Pokemon Violet Pokedex entry states, Hawlucha live quietly without flocking together. They live constantly with their natural enemies, noisy groups of Primeape. Ooh, I actually didn't know that.
I was actually going to ask this question about whether or not we thought, like other birds, they would flock together. But I guess the Pokedex entry, they just don't.
They hang out with Primeape.
Yeah, they hang out with Primeape and just body slam them.
I mean, that's appropriate.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good, actually. I'm very they have other the other entries like talk about Hariyama a lot, like Machamps and Hariyama. So
good for Hawlucha.
Good for Hawlucha.
Good for Hawlucha.
It's a fighting flying type. Is that still the only fighting flying type?
No, there's a Flamigo now.
Oh, Flamigo.
Zapdos, Galar.
And Galar and Zapdos.
Zapdos too.
Well, he's still a trailblazer, so good for Hawlucha.
Oh, definitely a trailblazer. We're not arguing that.
It's a trailblazer. It's such a fun Pokemon. Hawlucha is just good. It gets Unburdened with a giant speed stat. Unburdened is when you consume your item, your speed doubles, and its speed is base 118, which is ridiculous. So it doubles in speed, so it can have like over 700 speed at level 100, which is nutsos. And its attack stat's not too bad. 92 is okay, especially if you're running acrobatics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually you try to get off a sword stance after like a seed activates, because you run it with terrain. That's how you run it.
That's how it's been running for years.
So in UU right now, the only core that it involves is a Psychic Terrain core with Indeedee, and then most other ones also use a Sinistea.
Yeah.
For Psychic Terrain, and that's pretty much it. You get rid of the seed, and suddenly you are massive speed. Usually come on something that you can set up a sword stance on, and now you have +2 acrobatics, close combat, high jump kick, stone edge.
You're not running. You're close combating with this thing. You aren't high jump kicking anymore.
Yeah. They run substitute too. I've seen.
I have seen sub. I have seen sub.
I feel like back in Gen 7, it didn't have close combat yet. Was that correct?
No, it got close combat. Close combat's a recent addition.
I think it got it in Gen 8 or something.
Yeah. Correct.
It also has a signature move.
In flying press. It's like the first dual type move too, right? Like, because it does flying type and fighting type damage.
Yep.
Which is cool.
I'm sure leads the programmers to being crazy, but
Yes. There was a TCG card that was like seeing some play for a while too.
It would put 2 damage counters on your bench.
Yeah, it would put
one on each.
On 2 different. We could put 1 damage counter on 2 different Pokemon.
That's it.
When you put it down on your bench, which was actually really fun in Lost Box. It was fun for Lost Box decks too.
It gives them extra counters around for Sableye to hit. For
Sableye, I used it a couple times. I was at a League Cup once, and
back
in the day, like a year ago. I was in a League Cup. It's so wild because like how fast the TCG moves to be like, this was like 4 formats ago. Oh, that was just a year ago. And I went to a League Cup and I was playing Lost Box, and I was I beat a guy because it was a mirror match with Lost Box, but he wasn't playing Hawlucha. And so what he had 2 Comfeys on the bench. I had 10 in the Lost Zone.
Because you get to. I double to kill 2 with the Sableye. Nice.
Yeah, I double pinged 2 Comfey, and I took 2 prizes because my Sableye could take out both of them. And the guy was definitely a more seasoned player than I was, and he was like, that was a really cool play that I did not see coming. And I was just like, I'm surprised you did not know that this could be a thing. Because it was my favorite card to play as a tech in Lost Box for a while. It since has gone out because you could just play like Iron Hands and just punch all the things.
I was gonna say, you don't run into the mirror as much anymore either.
No, you don't run into the mirror as much anymore, so it's not nearly as useful to bring Hawlucha in. Not as many people are like watching the HP counts on their basics anymore in the Evolutions decks. So the usefulness is kind of gone. You could probably play it if you're really, really worried about like Charizard decks and you can hit them very early on with 10 in the Lost Zone, but that's probably not happening either.
Mm-hmm.
I would just it had its day and it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Like Radiant Hawlucha. Hawlucha existed and now it's useless because it was good for hitting VMAX Pokemon that are 99% gone.
Yeah, I think there's like 3 VMAX Pokemon left.
Kyurem and Heatran exist. Deoxys and
Zeraora yeah. I think
other two.
I think
maybe
VMAX.
one more.
Let me look. I'm gonna look this up.
Hatterene probably exists too.
Is Trevenant still around, or did Trevenant leave?
Trevenant, I think, is gone.
Trevenant, I think, is out. Yeah, most of the V Pokemon are gone. This is probably like the one thing that bothers me the most about the Pokemon TCG is I really dislike when like a new game comes out, they come up with a new mechanic for the game and they just name it something different. And I'm just like, guys, you could just make cooler versions of the same thing. And I would really appreciate that.
They did between Black, White, and
they did with Black and White and X and Y. Yeah, they kept EXs, and I was perfectly fine with that. And I think that's how it should work. I think the reason we got GXs was because they
wanted to go back to evolution.
They let those EXs get a little bonkers because a Pokemon EX back in Black and White and X and Y would be a basic no matter what. Like a Metagross EX was a basic. And I think
Little EX, if they wanted to keep that around.
I think Little EX is GX, and I think the only reason we got reset to Vs after GX was because they
GX moves.
Well, they messed up.
Tag teams were busted.
They messed up tag teams. Yeah, they did with tag teams, and tag teams are technically a Pokemon GX, so I think they messed up there.
They were like, we need to reset. We need to reset.
So they went to V. And then went to VMAX, and I think those VMAX and V Star are both fine. I genuinely don't have an issue with them.
Long time to figure out what they were trying to do.
I honestly don't have a problem with it, but they, I don't know. I think it was fine. I think they're just they didn't want like a big 3 prizer anymore, so they got rid of it. Looking at this, by the way, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 VMAXs left in the format.
That's more than I expected.
Yeah, Kingler VMAX is apparently still around.
Kingler!
Yeah, Mimikyu VMAX still exists. Aggron VMAX is still around.
Hey, that card actually saw play.
That card actually saw decent play. Heatran VMAX, like we had mentioned. Machamp VMAX is still around. Melmetal VMAX, Kira VMAX, we mentioned that one because Kira was actually like a deck for like a half a second. Zeraora VMAX is around. Deoxys VMAX, Regieleki VMAX, which is something we forgot.
To be fair, that's a support Pokemon, but yeah, it's
more of a support Pokemon. And then also, like you said, Hatterene VMAX is still around. Hatterene VMAX is still here as well. So, yeah. This has nothing to do with Hawlucha, but that's what the point of the segment is nowadays, I think, is to be whatever I want it to be.
There's curiosity here.
This is this is the go wherever you want to go, about this Pokemon part of the segment.
Hawlucha.
Ash did have a Hawlucha. Shiny Hawlucha is actually pretty good. I'm a big fan of Shiny Hawlucha.
One of the rare Pokemon where there are 2 shinies in the format right now.
There are 2 shinies. Oh, for the cards.
Because Radiant Hawlucha exists.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then
nobody's running Radiant Hawlucha. Let's be honest.
No, you don't. You should not be running Radiant Hawlucha. It's there.
It's there. It
exists. I mean, Charizard has 2.
I think Radiant Hawlucha, even when it came out, got kind of nerfed because they switched from like VMAX to V Star.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that definitely hurt it.
I think it should have been able to hit V-Stars for extra damage too. And even then, it wouldn't have been that good. But
yeah, if they would have done V-Stars, I think it would have seen a little bit more play.
Like, I remember there were a few decks that were running it. I think Hisui and Zoroark was running it for a while.
Yes, it probably needed it for a little bit.
Because, I mean, it's not like it could run anything else except maybe Gardevoir.
Mm-hmm.
So, good old Radiance. You weren't discarding energy in the deck. And you weren't running fire energy for Charizard, so...
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, Hawlucha's always been very good and very fun.
I think it's a speedrun Pokemon for a couple generations.
Is it? Oh, wow.
I think Yeah, it used to be like the speedruns go-tos.
Oh, yeah. Gen 6
and 7, I think.
I think Gen 8 used it too, didn't they?
They might have.
Or
No. I've done the Gen 8 speedrun. It just sobbles. It sobbles, or you can go to the DLC and get like a Suicune or any Pokemon in the Dynamax raids.
Well, I think without using DLC, they used it for a little bit, right?
They might have. Sobble, I know you can sobble solo. That's how I speed ran.
I know when the game first came out, that wasn't the case, and it was either using like a Whimsicott or something else.
Candy Floss. There was a Candy Floss strategy because there's a
Candy
trade.
Floss. That's it.
There's a trade Katani, and trades have fixed IVs, so it was consistent.
Yep.
I think there was a Arcanine route as well.
That's it. It was Arcanine. Never mind.
But it was also dependent on the version because different gym leaders in different games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they eventually figured out a Sobble route. That's what I ran. But I think there was a trade Hawlucha in Gen 7.
Maybe. I think so.
I think that's how you were able to run it in Gen 7. And Gen 6, it was also early-ish on. I think it's right after the second gym, isn't it?
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes, it's before Karina in Gen 6. It's that little like ghosty area with all the Golurks.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
It's the stone pillar path.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
I haven't played Gen 6 in a while. I want to go back and play Gen 6 again.
Okay. Yeah, that could work. But
you found it on Route 3 in Ultra Sun and Moon, so that probably helped too.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well, on that note, Hawlucha is a lot of fun. And I think this is where we're going to wrap up with Hawlucha to move on to our mailbag. So thanks, guys, and let's kick it on over to that mailbag.